You don't have a toxic people problem. You have a pattern problem. And until you see that pattern clearly, toxic people will keep finding you. They will keep draining you. And you will keep wondering why. This video is going to show you something most people never hear. Not how to avoid toxic people, but why your mind keeps letting them in. And exactly how to stop it. Stay with me. Because the first thing I'm going to tell you might be uncomfortable. Here's the truth. Toxic people don't choose random targets. They choose specific ones. People who are loyal. People who care deeply. People who feel guilty quickly. People who hate conflict. Sound familiar? Pause. That's not a weakness. That's actually a sign of high emotional intelligence. But here's the trap, toxic people can sense that. And they use it like a tool. See, your strength is the exact reason they stayed close to you. Think about that. Now, most people try to deal with toxic people the wrong way. They cut contact. They get angry. They avoid. They make lists of boundaries in their head that they never actually use. And for a while, it feels like it's working. But then, a new person shows up. Same patterns. Same behavior. Same feeling of being drained. Here's where most people get this wrong. The problem was never the person. The problem was the pattern you kept accepting without realizing it. Psychology calls this a trauma response loop. But let me explain what that actually means for you. Your brain has a system. It's called threat detection. Millions of years of evolution built it. But here's the thing. This system doesn't only protect you from danger. It also learns from your past. From your childhood. From every relationship you've ever been in. And if you grew up in an environment where chaos felt normal, where love felt conditional, where you had to earn peace by keeping others happy, your brain learned something dangerous. It learned that familiar equals safe. Even when familiar is actually painful. Pause. Think of your brain like a locked door. Toxic people don't break in. You accidentally gave them the key. Years ago. Long before you even met them. That's the pattern nobody talks about. And here's where it gets interesting. Toxic people have one skill that makes them hard to leave. One thing that keeps you second-guessing yourself. They make you feel responsible for their emotions. Not directly. Not obviously. They don't say, "You're responsible for how I feel." They do it slowly. A look. A silence. A comment that makes you replay the conversation for 3 hours. A moment where somehow, you end up apologizing, and you're not even sure why. Psychology has a name for this. It's called coercive emotional dependency. But in simple words, they train your nervous system to feel guilty for having needs. Tell me in the comments, does this sound familiar? Now here's the most important reframe in this entire video. Toxic people are not powerful. They feel powerful. But they're not. They are actually running on fear. Deep, unresolved fear. And they manage that fear by controlling the people around them. By making others small so they feel bigger. Once you understand this, really understand it, something shifts. You stop being afraid of them. And you start seeing them clearly. Like seeing the trick behind a magic trick. Once you see it, the magic is gone. Emphasize. Toxic behavior is not strength. It is the loudest form of insecurity that exists. But here's the part nobody talks about. Seeing this is not enough. Because even when you know someone is toxic, even when your mind says, "This is not good for me," your body might not agree. Your nervous system remembers. It has a physical memory. Being around that person might feel wrong and familiar at the same time. That's not weakness. That's biology. Here's the metaphor. Imagine you've been sleeping in a cold room your whole life. One day, someone offers you a warm room. Your first reaction isn't comfort. It's suspicion. Because warmth doesn't feel normal yet. Healthy people can feel wrong at first. That's important to know. So how do you actually outsmart a toxic person? Not by fighting. Not by explaining yourself. Not by trying to make them understand. Here's what actually works. Step 1. Stop reacting. Toxic people feed on emotional reaction. When you react, with anger, with tears, with silence, you confirm that they have power over you. When you stay calm and composed, you remove their fuel. Pause. Not because you're pretending. But because you're seeing clearly now. Step 2. Control what you share. Toxic people use your own words against you. They collect your fears, your soft spots, your vulnerabilities. And later, they use them. So stop giving them material. Share less. Observe more. Step 3. This is the one most people miss. Change what you tolerate, not what you say. Most people believe that setting a boundary means saying the right words. I won't accept this. You can't treat me this way. But toxic people don't respect words. They respect consequences. A real boundary is not a sentence. It's an action you take when the line is crossed. Without announcement. Without drama. Without warning. Slow. You don't explain your boundaries to someone who never respected them. You enforce them. Quietly. Consistently. That is what shifts the entire dynamic. Comment, I see it now, if this just changed how you see your own situation. Because this is where the real identity shift happens. See, you were never the problem. But you were participating in a system that made you feel like you were. And once you see the system, you can step out of it. Here's a line worth remembering. Pause. You don't outsmart toxic people by being smarter than them. You outsmart them by wanting nothing from them. The moment you stop needing their approval, their validation, their apology, their change, you become someone they have no power over. That's the real exit. Now, there's one last thing. And this might be the most important thing in this entire video. The goal is not to win against toxic people. The goal is to become someone they can't affect. That shift is not about them. It's about you. It's about choosing clarity over confusion. It's about choosing peace over familiar chaos. It's about understanding that protecting your mental space is not selfish. It is the most intelligent thing you can do. Emphasize. The most dangerous thing you can do to a toxic person is grow. Because growth makes you invisible to them. Here's something I want you to sit with. Every toxic person who ever stayed in your life, stayed because something in you was still unresolved. Not because you were weak. But because the lesson wasn't finished yet. And now it is. Drop your answer below, not for me, but for yourself. What's one pattern you're ready to stop accepting? Because naming it makes it real. And real things can be changed. You will want to rewatch this. Because the first time, you will only catch half of what was just explained. The second time, you'll notice the patterns inside yourself that you missed while focusing on the people around you. And here's the thing. What you just learned is only one layer. Because the deeper question isn't how to handle toxic people. The deeper question is, what inside you was trained to accept them in the first place? That answer is in the next video. And if staying mentally ahead matters to you, you already know what to do. Pause. The people who understand this don't just survive toxic environments. They stop attracting them entirely. That's where you're going next.